the day a legend was born. That's right, an icon right here. I'm just kidding. For real though, happy birthday, Heather. Can you get it right here at BP? Um, so I just wanted to jump on real quick because I've been feeling a tremendous amount of pressure since I started doing my daily vlogs, my diary vlogs. But the pressure I've been feeling has not been around like, hi, how are you, Heather? What's going on with you personally? The pressure I've been feeling is like these people are real assholes to me, saying that like by caring only about or mostly about, babe, can you toss this into the trash, please? And please be mindful of the time, okay? Thank you. The good part is the visit, we don't have to stop at the grocery store first because I have the baby's lunch. So as I said, I've been feeling a tremendous amount of pressure because I'm going through it, and there is a lot of chatter that's basically making me feel selfish for sharing how I'm being affected. And the chatter is going along the lines of, you know, other people are suffering from this too. You're not the only one who deserves assistance, blah, blah, blah. My argument back to that is you cannot stabilize anyone else's sinking ship until the one in mine, where all of your tools, gear, team is being held, is patched up. So anytime there's adversity, I would equate that to like someone coming with a screw or a nail and putting a little tiny nail size hole in my ship. And I got a big fucking ship. So one little hole that size is not going to do shit. But a lot of holes that size is going to cause a problem. What is it? You need more? So how much is it that I gave you so far? So the issue being, I give you more than $1. Okay, well here, use my card then. Give me back the quarters, please. Here. So it's not necessarily that I don't care about the sinking ship of others. It's that I am unwilling to continue to look the other way while you people who I don't even really like or agree with about numerous things in the first place. And when I say you people, I mean the ones who are giving me adversity, the ones who are voluntarily engaging in crazy making behavior, the ones who are committed to making my narrative discounted and the truth of what I've shown and shared discounted for their own well-being, or hiding truth about the ways I'm being victimized so that resources won't be expended for my children and I, so that they can use them themselves. Those types of people are not my friends, and I can't sacrifice my, ship, my ship maintenance resources to keep those people in, my life. So that's the first thing. This adversity comes in numerous different forms. But, in addition to that, there's a whole lot going on here. And we don't have the free speech that we thought we did. And there is not an open dialogue about it. There is a lot of fucking hiding and covering shit up and disguising things as crazy, and it's not fair. As I told you guys before they attempted all of this that they've gone through, they already did all of this when Dylan Smith was released from prison. That's when they destroyed my life. I've spent the last 6 years, besides this year, all alone on my birthday, crying in my house, sitting on the floor or the tent or the Airbnb or the hotel room or wherever they were holding me for that period, with photos of my family spread all around me, crying, specifically and most importantly, my children, but my whole family, my mom, my sister, my dad, my my aunts and uncles, my cousins, etc. I don't get along with my family to live with them, but I get along with my family to see them every holiday and birthday and celebrate the finer moments of life with and escape the day-to-day monotony with, right? So, of course, I love them. And of course, separating us from each other is not going to be ideal. But while we're in, this period of transitioning from a space where I feel as though the majority is being withheld information and denied access to information. And when I say information, I mean most specifically reality, technological advancement that is causing success in a specific demographic of the population and missing the rest of the population. There are strategic algorithmic programming measures that most of the social media platforms are using, whether with or without their knowledge, this is going on, that cause the narrator or the speaker to appear more credible, more worthwhile to listen, or the opposite of that, to discredit, to make the person look like a drug addict, or to make the person look like, they might have some sort of something slow going on with them, or some sort of impairment or deficit, or maybe they play on the viewer's need to trust people who look beautiful or people who they can trust because they have similar facial qualities or physical features to them. That is a real thing. And when you take a certain point, one of them is healthcare. I believe healthcare and criminal justice need a complete makeover. And I mean tremendous reform, to the point where systems are running quality assurance on each other, specifically seeking out and correcting issues of corruption. Now, causing someone to lose stability is not the same as a person going crazy. So we're labeling things just in general incorrectly. I do believe, and this is not a conspiracy theory, this is me sitting back and observing videos that I've created, on days when my point and the points I'm making in my narrative are congruent with whomever is in power that morning or that day or that period of time, I look like $1,000,000 fucking. I don't need makeup on or anything. Like right now, I just rolled out of bed, brushed my teeth, threw on my gym clothes, and I'm on my way to the gym. But I don't look low or, mentally challenged, or as if I'm smoking, some sort of drugs or, drunk. There are videos I get on here and I'm making a point that is not the common point to be, that is not the general overall agreeable position. And they make me look so fucked up on here that I myself have a problem watching it. When I re-listen, I have to face my phone up at the ceiling and just listen to the audio. Otherwise, I can't take myself seriously. And make no mistake, I'm not the only one they're doing that to, and that's for a reason. That is absolutely for a reason. Credibility is affected by physical appearance. Whether we want to admit it or not, it is the truth. There are people in this world who will give you access to opportunity based on how you look, and who will disqualify you from opportunity based on how you look. That is just the way it is. So I do believe that part of the AI technology being incorporated with social media today is that based on policy and position, our physical appearance and the way that we appear to our viewers, the way we are represented, the areas that AI is using to isolate as clips or thumb notes in our content are severely impacting our overall reach and the ability that our reach has to take our points seriously. A huge one that I'd like to bring up is the use of marijuana. Marijuana in the United States of Illinois is still illegal federally, which means you cannot cross state lines with it legally. People do it all the time. Almost as much as people jaywalk, people are moving marijuana across state lines. Maybe more than people are jaywalking. And they're moving it in planes, trains, automobiles, and on foot. And our government is doing almost nothing to enforce it. And I want to go back to about 10 years ago, the first time I ever traveled, for work. I was going to a ManyVids convention in Las Vegas, and I have no association with sexy content anymore. I decided that was not a good look for my brand and where I was going, and I saw a lot of exploitation within the field, women, children, and men. There is no bias when it comes to who can be abused or exploited in that field. ManyVids as a platform is one of the more reputable. They give their creators a lot more control than a lot of the other platforms, and they don't allow any sort of executively produced abuse to be broadcast on their live streaming, at least from what I know from when I participated. But other platforms like Pornhub, for instance, you can literally search in Pornhub for violent pornography, and you will find people who appear to be in distress, crying out for help. And that content is being circulated at mass with no issues. The United States has done minimal to mitigate that, but we've got these giant campaigns for ICE. So we have people getting kidnapped and raped for profit, and it's being broadcast on public, easy to access, free servers like Pornhub that our children can go on from any fucking device. And that's a major issue that no one in government is bringing up, but they're talking about the peaceful, unlawfully acquired or unlawfully. I don't even know a tactful way to say it without referring to these demographic of people as aliens or illegals, which we know doesn't go over well. Who wants to be referred to as an illegal alien? It's not a flattering label. But for lack of a better word, these people who are, by all aspects of the situation, simply trying to escape a terrible existence elsewhere. Some of them may be criminals. I'm not speaking on those. I'm speaking on the hundreds of thousands of peaceful, productive people. I want to go back to talk about my aunt-in-law. I got married at a very young age to a Mexican man and had children with him. And his family obviously is also Mexican. His aunt was here for 30 years with her son, working, living with family, not owning property, working double shifts in the factories. Do you know what happens when you work in the factories? They take out tax, right? Do you know what happens when they work in the factories and take out tremendous amounts of tax and you don't have a way to file your taxes? You don't get any refunds. So you're overpaying the United States government in tax your entire 30 years of living here. This woman has never been in trouble, never had static with the law, always minding her business, working, 5 to 7 days a week at all times, cleaning the house, minding her own business, cooking food, taking a nap. That was this lady's life. She bought a house in Broadview, Illinois. And upon doing so, within the first 2-3 years of owning the house, she was deported. And not only did they deport her after she spent her $40K cash for her down payment, not only did they deport her after robbing her, they also had the audacity to accuse her of kidnapping because she brought her son over here to escape tremendous domestic violence in Mexico when he was 5 years old. This kid is a grown man now with 5 kids, 35 years old. So his mom has been deported, possibly facing kidnap charges, hasn't been permitted to come back here where her whole family lives in close to 30 years. And we've got these tremendous campaigns against, illegal immigrants and in support of ICE. And no one is fucking doing or saying shit. And I'm sorry, Donald Trump, I think you're a doll. I love you as the president. I think you're funny. I think you're the perfect person for people to lean on, to count on, to make fun of, to make memes of. I think you let it roll right down your back like a duck. And I think that you're a fantastic president, but you have a wife who was illegal when she came to this country. And if you disagree with me, there's been a whole lot of evidence. I don't know if it's fake news or deep fake technology, Mr. President. I'd like you to get involved here because I'm being affected by a lot of deep fake AI technology, but I personally saw in circulation a whole lot of documentation saying that Ivanka, who I also love, I think she's gorge, was an illegal alien when she came over here, and that you and your political positioning are what gave her the right to stay. So either those documents were fraudulently created and circulated on the internet, or we have a real fucking problem with hypocrisy, which we already know. We already know we do, right? Now, my next point is, when we're speaking on these matters like immigration or marijuana use, that are they have huge spectrums. We do have a population that thinks deporting illegal immigrants or people who have come over here without the proper paperwork, despite the fact that they may be completely peaceful, productive members of society, is bad. There are also people who swear by it and think it's the only way to secure our country. And that's the same with marijuana. Some people demonize marijuana and think that it's the gateway drug and all of these other things. And I can tell you that I have met no less than thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people with active, pardon me, or dormant PTSD. And the reason I say dormant PTSD is because 9 out of 10 days of the year, I have dormant PTSD. 9 out of 10 days, my triggers aren't triggers. They don't bother me at all. But that 10th day, forget about it. You know, there's some big issues when those symptoms begin to wake up. And I just want to remind everyone that growing up around gun violence, growing up where one or both of your parents could have been kidnapped into the prison system at any given moment, growing up where you feel unsafe getting to school in the morning, growing up where you feel afraid that you're not going to have enough food in the house, those are all post-traumatic stress disorder causing types of shit. I didn't go through those specific problems. You guys know my background with the abandonment in Jamaica and the car in my house at 5 years old, and you know, all of the other things, but the unlawful detention as a child with no criminal record and no support system, and the group home exposure, and being kidnapped to the south side of Chicago, and being kidnapped and abandoned into Jamaica for a full year. You guys know what PTSD issues are, but we don't really speak very much about the fact that I'm living urban Chicago, where I would say more than half of the population who lives outside of the loop are dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder issues of their own. And if we're talking about the South Side, you know, or the areas that have a crime rate that's higher than the other areas, South Side, West Side, areas that we were getting used to waking up and hearing news saying, oh, well, there was another shooting. Oh, well, 2 people are dead. Oh, well, we can't even afford to report how many people died overnight because it's going to make our city look so unsafe and affect tourism in such a negative way. So we're going to hide this. All of those are reasons for PTSD. And whether we want to cure them and heal them in people, or completely ignore them and scapegoat these people, you know, as being bad based on the ways that we as a society have looked the other way and allowed them to be traumatized, it doesn't change reality. They've got this trauma, and this trauma will continue to be a problem for all of us until we're able to come up with ways to resolve it and to create societies and societal norms that are conducive to alleviating these issues, helping people remove the burden of this trauma from their life. And marijuana is a controversial but highly effective method for curing and treating all sorts of trauma and trauma symptoms. And I will stand by that until the day that I die. And then even maybe after I die, I might rise from the grave and tell you guys that, because here's the thing. I know that it's true. I know that there are people who are in their 60s, 50s, who have been using marijuana for their PTSD without even knowing that that's what they're doing. They wake up, they start feeling triggered by whatever it is, and they go into autopilot, let's go roll a joint, and they smoke and they feel better. And they're not even making the mental connection that their post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms are being alleviated, calmed, and treated with the use of this medication, marijuana. And I'd also like to go on record as saying there are a million other uses for marijuana. I don't think that it's a good idea to smoke marijuana while you're pregnant. I also don't think it's a good idea to lock a pregnant woman in a tent for 7 months outdoors in winter over the snow, slush, cold rain, and then look the other way while she's denied medical service when she goes into preterm labor because of the stress associated with being displaced from home. So yes, I did look the other way and authorize the use of CBD and THC for myself and anyone I was advocating for in those circumstances, and it worked. 3 months before I got pregnant with Weston, I was in the hospital because I got pregnant with twins and they died. I went into preterm labor. I was not using marijuana. I was not using alcohol. I don't use any other drugs. I was very healthy, in shape, physically fit, eating healthy. But I did have a very, very high level of stress, and I was living full-time in Airbnbs. We would switch Airbnbs month to month. Now, I went into an Airbnb near Addison and Kimball by the Blue Line. It was 2 days before Christmas when we got that location of Airbnb, and I began to experience symptoms of preterm labor. I called my doctor immediately, and my doctor told me to relax, to put myself on bed rest pretty much. I stayed in the bed with the exception of the moment that I got up to have a conversation with the Airbnb host and the moment that I got up to cook Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve. 4 hours after midnight, I began feeling intense contractions. And about another 4 hours after that, I gave birth to one of the twins at 17 weeks of pregnancy, and the baby died in the shower of that Airbnb. An ambulance was called, and I was taken by ambulance after having lost one of the twins, with another one of the twins in my uterus, fully contracting, fully dilated, wide open, bleeding, just blood pouring out of my body. And I was taken by ambulance to Swedish Covenant Hospital, where they removed the second baby by surgery, DNC. Both babies died. I got pregnant with Weston while on birth control in the form of the shot. About 4 months after that event occurred, and we lost our housing 2 weeks after I found out I was pregnant, and our funding for housing. We had nowhere to go, and we were being denied shelter at every turn from every resource. I called every county: Lake County, Will County, DuPage County, and Cook County. I started experiencing preterm labor symptoms again around 3 months of pregnancy, and I went to both Northwestern Hospital as well as St. Joseph's Hospital, at which point in time I was told by both hospitals that I could not stay in the hospital, despite the fact that I shared with them we had no housing. They told me that they had no luck with any sort of shelter services for anyone since the pandemic of 2020. They forced us to leave. They said we were not checking back into the ER, and that unless I checked back into the ER so my insurance could be billed, we needed to leave the hospital, because the hospital was not in the business of giving people bed rest. They were in the business of inpatient hospitalizations, but not of giving people bed rest. If you go on bed rest, you just go home. That's what they said to me. If you lay down, you don't have contractions. If you lay down, we've got you on a fetal heart rate monitor. Your baby's not in any distress, so you need to lay down for the rest of your pregnancy. Who can lay down for 7 months when they don't have a home? So anytime the park district would come move our tent, or the police would come to talk to us, or any sort of stress would be induced, I would start contracting again. So I'm sitting in a tent having contractions. Xavier went to a nearby vape store and got a CBD vaporizer. And I promise you, with 1 to 2 inhalations of that CBD pen, my contractions completely subside every single time, almost immediately. I want to call in a witness here. Xavier, do you recall what I'm talking about? Okay, so do you recall what it would look like when I would begin to have preterm labor symptoms? Can you talk a little louder? That's a perfect example.
Contracting?
Yes. Contracting. Convulsing is for a seizure. Contracting is what happens when your body is preparing to give birth. So I can go into detail on that. He said that one time we were at Yolk. There's a breakfast place called Yolk. Xavier went and got me a wheelchair, and he would take me from the tent to the grocery store when I had to take number 2s, because I don't know how to poop outside. I don't even know how to pee outside. I would literally pee into a cup, and Xavier would throw it into the grass or into the nearby area where the dogs were being walked, and they would go to the bathroom. So he would just dispose of our own urine in the same way that the people who walk dogs would take them to. He would just take the cup to that little dog park area and dispose of it there. That was the best way we could figure out how to do it, because it's not sanitary, nor is it hygienic, and no one should have to live that way. But we had a wheelchair that from St. Joseph's that we chained to one of the poles of our tents. And every once in a while, a sponsor would donate us breakfast or, send us a gift card or do something to help us break up the monotony of being held in this tent. And we went to a breakfast place called Yolk. And this is one of the many times I began experiencing symptoms of preterm labor. And I just ended up in a ball out of contractions. I mean, my entire uterus was hardening up. I was in active labor. And what did we do to stop that labor? We got back in the wheelchair and went back to the tent. And what did we do? And what happened immediately with one single inhalation of the marijuana or CBD? Contraction stopped. I did not feel pain anymore. I felt calm. Sometimes I'd be able to fall asleep. And I was successfully able to keep my baby in my body until 40 weeks, 6 days. And he was born overdue with a 10 out of 10 on his APGAR scores and not a single issue wrong with him. Now that it's become common knowledge, or that I've publicly shared that I did that, they're trying to refer my son for all of these developmental delay courses. My son doesn't have a developmental delay. And your political ties to trying to say that marijuana is not effective in the use of preterm labor symptoms for a homeless woman who's sleeping in a fucking tent with nowhere to go are absolutely absurd. The fact that you would politically be so inclined as to say that my child has a speech delay or something like this, I 1000% believe is directly associated with the fact that I voluntarily and with intention engaged in the use of CBD and THC in various forms, beverages. Inhalation is the only form that hits you immediately. So I didn't have hours to sit around while a beverage calmed me down. When you're in active labor, you need to stop labor immediately. And I was being denied service by all of the area medical providers. When I would go in, as I said before, they would lay me down on a gurney. They would put a monitor on my belly. They would see that the baby was fine. They would see that I wasn't contracting actively while I was laying down on my back in the hospital setting. And they would say, go home and go on bed rest. Do not walk. Do not move. Go on bed rest. It's very difficult to be locked in a tent at Belmont Harbor on bed rest. Very difficult. Not only do you feel entirely afraid, living in a tent, you have zero protection. If someone wants to harm you, there's nothing stopping them other than a thin layer of nylon. Okay, let's keep it clear. With that being said, when I discuss things like this, there has been, I would say, a realistic 30 to 40 different experts in the field of AI technology, algorithmic output, and all of these things who agree with me. It's almost as if politically they put filters on my face. Like they have a filter that says distrustful, looks like they're on drugs, dirty, unslept and tired, or like beautiful, happy, wealthy. Like these filters that they associate with my content, they're having a huge impact on whether or not I'm taken seriously when people are watching it. And that's what my subject is about today. The subjects of deepfake technologies, deepfake AI interventions, deepfake. We don't even have to talk about forgery. We can, or the fraudulent production of documentation. We can call it what it is, which is an AI creation. There, in most cases and instances, are no hard copies of these documents that are being circulated. They're just being created online. President Trump, is your wife an illegal alien who's currently wanted by ICE in this country? Because that's the documentation I saw. So should I abandon my own personal beliefs about you from what I know of you for the last 8 years in presidency, 12 years on and off in presidency, 20 years of me knowing who you are as a businessman and a credible, reputable person, the owner of the Trump Towers, a fucking guru at business, a bulldog when it comes to, getting what you want and what you need? Should I pretend like my experience of you is just some sort of figment of my imagination and that you are not a credible source of information or a person who can handle this country? Should I assume that you are harboring a fugitive because I saw some sort of fake circulation of documentation about your wife being an unauthorized person in this country who's wanted by ICE? I don't think I should. I think I should utilize common sense and say, hey, this document is probably not real because it doesn't align with the previous 15 years of experience I have in knowing who this president is as a person and the action that they've taken or not taken historically. So that's number one. The deep fake technology and the deep fake fraudulent forged documentation surrounding my case, my name, my people, my children, my everything has been absolutely ridiculous, overwhelming, and astronomical. And I'm asking for protection for my family, specifically my children, their significant others, myself, my parents, my grandmother, etc., my aunts and uncles from this type of malicious communication. My family are great people, but they don't, only a few of them are business owners. I'm the first real entrepreneurial spirit that, generationally has occurred. I've thought of a million different business ideas. I've brought them into profit. They've not been sustainable long term. I've lived and I've learned, and I have absolutely every desire to continue on my quest to start a healthcare consulting firm. I do believe that healthcare as a systemic intervention is trash with the way that we've gotten it. After years and years of evolution that's not kept up with the technology or the ethics associated with where we want to be, I think that the healthcare field, just like the criminal justice system, needs a huge overhaul. And I think that criminal justice and healthcare need to be recognized as running congruently to each other, because 9 out of 10 times something that may first appear to be criminal is actually in nature either mental or environmental. And going on and on and on for decades, calling it a cat when it's really a dog is not going to work. If something is environmental in nature, if an issue is environmental in nature, we need to address that issue for what it is. It's environmental. This is the cause. This is the root. This is how we solve it. And then we need to move forward, right? So utilizing AI tools and deepfake technology scans would be crucial, but there also needs to be more policing of the internet. And my children's names in order of when they were born, oldest to youngest, Viviana Lewis, Alexis Weston, just the first letter of all their names literally creates the acronym V Law. On top of that, I've been being harassed, stalked, sexually assaulted, robbed, bludgeoned 2 times, numerous things, as you know, if you've been following my case, that actually forced me to become involved in virtual law, the reality show and the stalking and harassment that began to occur subsequent to my participation in that show. It all has a common denominator, and that denominator is online social media stalking, harassment, and assault that is spilling over into the 3-dimensional world. The healthcare system, the criminal justice system, and our own versions of our life and what go on need to operate congruently to each other rather than creating contradiction. Courts need to be automatically being updated to all of the status, and corruption traps need to be non-stop at all times. Incentive is one thing, corruption is a different, right? If you and I come to terms that we have a common goal and that we can agree interest, and we begin to take steps to pursue that. Oh God, no. Did you see that? That raccoon that died. Oh my God. He looks like he got hit by a car. Anyways, that's my main point for today, is that, I can sit around. I like makeup. I like to fucking do glam. I like fake eyelashes. I like fake nails. I like heavy, dramatic makeup. I have not been permitted the ability to, or the time to get my makeup on and feel prepared for the day in quite some time. I'm always running around by the seat of my pants to get to the next responsibility that I have. And so I come on here without makeup a lot. My eyes are the same size and I have symmetry in my face, but wouldn't know it by looking at whatever's going on here, you know? And this is not the first time that I've experienced that. There are days my face looks perfect, symmetrical, you know, pretty, clean, beautiful. And then there are days I look at my recordings and I think, who in the fuck is altering my face? And this has been ongoing for 6 years. And I've discussed it with you guys at length. At first, I put it into the category of crazy making behaviors that were going on with algorithmic input, you know, to what, in my opinion, cause political ties and reinforce who we want to be considered a reputable source for various things and concerns, et cetera, and so forth. And I do still take that stance. I do still believe 1000% that there are really crooked, disgusting individuals who, for their own purpose, are causing our media and our voices to be disguised as the voices or media of someone who is engaging in excessive drug use or heavy, hard drug use. I personally have never in my entire existence even tried meth, coke, crack. Actually, I tried coke, but I didn't like it. Crack, meth. What are the other hard drugs? Heroin. I've never tried anything like that. I have been to a rave before, you know, so I was a teenager once. I was in my early 20s once. But I don't use drugs regularly, and I use marijuana in a way that's adult. I don't like to refer to it as medical use, and here's my reason. When we talk about manifestation, let's just consider the term brainwashing. When we talk about brainwashing ourselves, it does us no justice to wake up in the morning and say, I'm sick, I need to treat myself with marijuana. No justice. What gives us justice, what is in our best interest, is to wake up every morning and say, I'm observing myself as the untethered soul. In my physical body, I'm observing symptoms of fear, anxiety, discomfort. Those physical symptoms are translating to difficulty breathing, sweaty palms, a general overall lack of confidence, issues with communication with my superiors and other, issues with focus and my ability to calm down and pay attention to the things that I have to, you know, be responsible for in my day-to-day life, right? So that is the you know, perspective that I like to take from myself. I don't tell myself I'm sick. You people tell me I'm sick. I don't tell myself I'm crazy. You people tell me I'm crazy. And I make it my actual job with intention to prove to myself that not only have I never been crazy, but that each and every single one of my responses to the abuse I've endured has been reasonable, understandable, makes sense. When you hear about the provocation, you have no questions about my responses. They explain themselves. Now, if you just walk in and you have no idea what's going on and you just see me in my car alone going, these fucking assholes, what the fuck is their problem? They're fucking stalking me again and they're doing the things with the lights and the bathroom thing. I'm about to pee on myself. You're like, what? What the fuck is going on? You have no way to understand. So maybe in your simple mind, you might label that as crazy, but just because you don't understand it or because your mind is thinking too simply doesn't mean that it's crazy. It means you don't understand. It means that you don't get it. So when I explain what's going on and you understand, then I'm not crazy. But when I explain what's going on, but you didn't hear it or you weren't there, you don't understand, I am crazy. That's not the way crazy works. Crazy as an etiology is a mental health impairment that a person has. They could be born with it, or it could be a psychological injury that they've suffered, like PTSD. And that's what people are saying when they say that you have a mental health impairment or that you have a mental health concern or a mental health issue or a mental health disease. Having a mental health disease is very common. Out of everyone who dies in this world, 100% of them will feel anxiety at one point. Some of us are lucky enough to be on the low end of that spectrum where they will only feel anxiety maybe for 2-3 seconds. Maybe it's a little healthy anxiety that causes them to, okay, you know, I'm feeling like a little bit nervous about this, but I got this, etc., and so forth. For the rest of us, we will experience crippling anxiety at one or numerous points of our life, to the point where we feel like we cannot get out of bed because of it. If 2 to 3 inhalations of marijuana help you get out of bed and restore your confidence and put you back on track to be successful, what's the political drawback? What's the problem? For every liquor store we've supported into existence, we should be supporting 2 dispensaries. How many liquor stores are advertising that they cure anxiety? How many liquor stores are advertising that they have thousands of medical ailments and impairments that are corrected with their use? Hey babe, have you ever heard of a liquor store that cures anxiety? No, right? But you've definitely heard of someone drinking some alcohol, getting froggy and taking a leap and beating the fuck out of people, or going into a bar and starting a fight, or going and committing a crime while they were drunk, right? So I just wanted to say that that's my vlog for the day. Updates personally, there's nothing much that's changed here. I've got eviction court on January 26th. After reporting that my apartment was being broken into a number of times, and that belongings were being stolen, similar to the Harwood Heights situation. I went to the management. I reported that I was being broken into. I have in writing text messages from the landlord on both of my lines, saying that I'm, quote, crazy girl. No one is breaking in. You're crazy. There's no one going into your unit yet. I was this short of sending an actual photo of the piece of shit that was in my toilet when I came home from work to my landlord after she said that, but I thought that would be classless. So I let it go. I said, okay, I know someone's breaking in, but I'm not going to argue with my landlord. This is my apartment. I need to make it work. I'm in a 2-year lease. 3 days after the third time that I reported someone breaking into my apartment with a police report for burglary and deceptive practice, my landlord served me an eviction notice, slided under my door saying, I have had unknown occupants trespassing in my unit. And for that reason, they would like me to be evicted. January 27th is my court date. I still have 1 year left on my lease and I have nowhere to move. So, I've spoken with multiple other advocates who say that eviction court takes up to 90 days to 6 months. So hopefully that'll give me the time and direction that I need to figure out what's the next step from here. But basically everything that you guys have been around for from the Harwood Heights days, and you could go back in my YouTube, it's all there. I recorded all of it live for most of it. They've done it all again, sometimes 2 and 3 times. I call law enforcement. I spend a significant amount of my time on the phone with law enforcement explaining what's going on. And what I usually get is, well, there's really nothing we could do. If you don't know who's doing that, there's really nothing we could do about it. And then the other response that I've been getting is, well, so similar, if not I went through in 2021, 2022 when I lived at Montclair. But I work full time now, 7 days a week, and I'm not relying on a sponsor to pay my rent. Eric Schull paid my rent at the Harwood Heights apartment. I'm paying my rent myself now. So I know that it's been paid every month without exception. My rent was returned for the month of January. My landlord slid it back underneath my door and said, no more rent in the office. So I'm excited to go to court and see what the judge has to say. I'm excited for what's next. I'm very anxious. I'm very scared. I'm very disappointed that they were unable or unwilling to protect me, to advocate for me, to allow me a safe, peaceful place to live. The boxes of condoms, HIV testing kits, and Bibles that they have been sending to my house in bulk, in my name, with my unit number on them, are absolutely ridiculous. My children don't even know my unit number. I have no utilities in my name, and I specifically did not register my address with the United States Postal Service because I live with my grandma as far as my mail is concerned. Who is changing my address and flooding my home with condoms, Bibles, and HIV testing kits? I don't have sex with anyone other than Xavier, and I haven't since the day I met him. And before I met him, I was celibate for almost 2 years. And that's the truth. So, question I have, there are a lot of things that have been causing me to feel very, very anxious. Today is my birthday. Like I said, a fucking icon was born, a legend herself in the making. Happy birthday, Heather. I'm hoping for a peaceful day, a happy day, a profitable day, a day of good vibes and progress. I miss my kids. Vivi is angry with me. She still refuses my phone calls 6 weeks later. I am concerned. I do have reason to believe that there is an Indian man, I don't even remember his name, who has some sort of problem with me, who would easily blend into the area of DuPage County where my child has moved, that would have reason in his own fucked up mind to cause harm to my daughter or her husband or their child. I am concerned. When she goes MIA and stops answering my phone calls, I do feel as though it is strategic. I've neither consented nor given my permission for any of my children to be involved in any of this stalking, harassment, testing, whatever you want to call it, psychological operation, whatever you want to call it. But the periods where I cannot reach her, I don't even know where she lives to drive over there and make sure she's okay. Her and her husband just got a new apartment 2 months ago, and that is a bad feeling. That is one of the worst feelings I've ever had in the world. When the chatter online starts telling me, oh, this biohacking Indian man from California who's got millions and billions of dollars, who despises you because his wife found out he was fucking around on her with you 10 years ago, has a bone to pick with your daughter, and then no one wants to answer the phone so that I can prove my child is safe and sound, that is a fucking problem. That is a problem that this country should not support. This country should be in support of mothers and daughters having communication regularly. This country should be in support of mothers and sons having communication regularly. This country is supposed to be in support of families, right? Isn't that what this country is supposed to do? Don't we say God, family, freedom? Isn't that what we say? So I'm confused. I'm nervous. I'm sad. Since I gave them their Christmas gifts, I've not heard from them. My son-in-law, I called him on a different number that he wouldn't recognize because my daughter tells him not to answer. And he answered, and I said, did you get the bottle of cologne that I got you for Christmas? Did you like it? And he said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So where are the Christmas gifts that I gave to my children? I got my daughter Alexis her gifts. I know she had them. I saw her open them on FaceTime video. But my daughter Vivi and her husband Ali, I have not been able to see them open their gifts or know that they've received them. And I got my daughter a nice bottle of perfume from Ulta. I got Ali a nice bottle of cologne. I got them some dish towels and pot holders for their new place, a mixing bowl, a diffuser, an apple cinnamon diffuser, a candle, a couple of regular bath towels for the bathroom, a purse, some Roz hair milk, and several other very expensive, well thought out gifts. Why have I been unable to reach my children to confirm that they've received them? And what the fuck is going on to cause this lapse of communication for such an extenuating period of time? I got my granddaughter 2 outfits, leggings and a dress, and a little one of those little LED lights in the shape of a cute little strawberry to hang up by her crib. And I thought I could get her one by one. Her birthday's coming up, so I felt like I could get her the grapes and the watermelon and kind of have her theme be like this cute little, animated fruits around her bed in the new place. I wouldn't know if they received them or not because they've been playing games with me, doing deepfake technology, using voiceover technology to make me feel like I'm talking to people I know, when in actuality it's created, engineered audio. There's a freight train going to the Elmhurst gym, so I'm not going to be able to make it there in time. Anytime I wake up before I need to be there with only 20 minutes late. So I like to work out for an hour and a half every day, plus a 30-minute shower and then get ready. So I need 2.5 hours in the gym. They don't give me 2.5 hours of the gym. They give me maybe 1 hour to shower, work out, and get ready. They make me go to my visits like a fucking looking like a hot ass mess. And that is strategic. And I want to make sure that the record knows it. I left my house at 6:45 today or 7 a.m. It's 8:11 and I was 10 minutes from the gym, and now there's this curated freight train that lasts an hour and 45 minutes to destroy my workout. This is what I've been dealing with for the last several years. I am aware of all of the things that they've done, the voiceover technology, but the reason I don't panic more, and this is important for you guys to hear, is because I've already come out on the other side of this. While they were holding me in the tent, while they were withholding my resources, 2 to 3 months would go by that I would call my kids every single day and they wouldn't answer. And then randomly, when I was about to give up one day, they called me back and everyone was completely normal. Like not a single day had passed. Nothing was wrong. I was the one who was neurotic for freaking out, thinking something was wrong. So when they do that to you enough times, you never stop caring. You always care. You always feel the fear. You always feel the anxiety, but you just realize that you can't afford, to expend any more effort in a cause that is going to easily resolve itself soon, you hope, or that you've not been able to find any other workarounds for. What can I do? If I don't know where my daughter's new apartment is, and I've called her 100 million times and she still doesn't answer, even with the chatter telling me that she's in danger and that this Indian man is harming her because I'm too covered, I'm too protected, what can I do besides get on here on YouTube and share that and share it with my ex-husband who doesn't answer the phone and try to call my daughter repeatedly? People do strange fucking things for money, The fact that this man has it out for my family and the fact that you guys continue to look the other way and allow these periods of intermittent inability to communicate tells me that you're creating an environment that's conducive to me feeling anxious, sad, scared, threatened, attacked, victimized, etc., and so forth. That's not me going crazy. That is you people. And I'm not talking about my viewers and supporters. I'm talking about whomever is diverting or obstructing my ability to reach my children. You're the cause. So that's where I'm at with it. I wake up really early. It's my birthday. I left at 6 so I could get in a good workout. I have a visit with Weston immediately following the workout. Somehow I'm still driving to the gym despite the fact that I left so early. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Let's call it a wrinkle in time. And then in addition to that, I do not appreciate nor do I authorize any of these periods where I'm not permitted access to my children for whomever's false narrative it is. I don't care. As a mother, as a full-time mother who's invested in the health, wealth, well-being, and success of her children and family, I need to know that my children are okay each and every day. A phone call, even if it's for 30 seconds, they're smiling faces and know that no one is them is the least that can be done. So other than that, I am healing pretty well from the second to bludgeoning. So I'm going to go for a consultation, cosmetic surgery consultation for some sort of either filler or Botox that I may need to even out the asymmetricalness of my face or unsymmetricalness of my face following the second attack on my face on this week, Thursday or Friday, possibly Wednesday. I need to check my calendar. So that's going to be resolved. I'm still working 7 days out of the week as a driver. I love it. Very grateful to have it. Xavier's father has still not replaced his cell phone. So he has been without a phone since approximately, what was the month that your phone was destroyed by water damage? It's in my phone call records. He called me from the Knickerbocker Hotel one day after his phone was destroyed. I believe it was April. So we're already at the 8 or 9 months of Xavier not having a cell phone. And I borrowed him a phone that I, needed. that had a significant amount of evidence on it, stored on it. I was using it as an external memory server, and I borrowed him that phone and he broke it and then got it stolen. And I needed that. I really needed that phone. So I will not be allowing him to have my phone when I'm not around unless he's in the house, not moving around. And typically I've never let him stay in my house before. But since we're already going to eviction court and there's nothing that the landlord is doing to try to prevent people from breaking in, I would, prefer him to be sitting in the house while I'm working to, kind of set a trap for anyone who has been breaking in. I ask him to go in there and be quiet so no one knows that he's in there, and then if someone breaks in, to call 911 immediately, maybe, pursue the person and try to lock them into a space so that they can't run away. Because as I said, this has been going on since April. A Bluetooth speaker has been stolen, a memory foam pillow has been stolen, and numerous other things. So my name is Heather Gillespie, and it's my birthday, and I'm on my way to the gym, and I'm here to acknowledge in both a vlog that I'm aware of the AI intervention that's been causing numerous issues, specifically with regards to, but not limited to, my ability to get things done, communicate with my children effectively, and be taken seriously on video with many, many, many AI filters, causing the look of distress or disorganization or discredibility or drug use, et cetera, and so forth, and that none of that's been true. To this day in my entire life, from the moment I met Xavier to right now, the only drug use I've engaged in has been marijuana, which I don't even classify as a drug anymore, with the exception of Xavier and I have gone out 4 times total, 4 times in the entire 4 years I've known him. And during those periods, I did also engage in drug and alcohol use. And there was one time when I met Xavier about 2 weeks after I met him that we both took an ecstasy pill together on the beach. But other than that, Xavier and I don't do drugs. We definitely don't have erratic behaviors, and we're not using drugs, going around our child or any child. We were not on drugs when I was pregnant with Weston. We were strategically using CBD to prevent preterm labor after we were denied housing, shelter, and assistance by all of the social services that are in place in the city of Chicago and surrounding. And I'm not here to blame any one person, place, or thing for that, but that definitely took place. I have about 50 to 100 case numbers. On that phone that Xavier destroyed, I have actual voicemails from people proving what I'm saying is true. But I've still got 3 other phones and 4 iClouds, because every one of these phones have had 2 iClouds or 3 iClouds registered to it. So those iClouds are saved, those passwords are saved, they are uploaded, they can be accessed from any third-party computer, and that evidence is all still there. And we're willing to move forward in whatever way is deemed appropriate. So I deserve to be with my family and children, not be sexually assaulted, bludgeoned, stabbed, thrown out of my home unlawfully, forced to go to eviction court, withheld my rights, et cetera, and so forth. There are people who definitely deserve some sort of prosecution for the things I've had to go through. And I'm asking that President Trump acknowledge not only the negative false narrative that's being circulated about Ivanka being an illegal, but I'm asking President Trump to use whatever grace and compassion he was able to use on Ivanka's situation for the rest of us. And I'm asking that he show a little grace, mercy, and advocacy, and acknowledge the use of deepfake technology, and acknowledge the use of any sort of AI. Let's go back to the bunnies on the trampoline video. Okay? The bunnies on the trampoline, I thought it was real. Did you guys think that was real? The bunnies on the trampoline video? I thought that was real, and it was fake. They created that with AI. It was very effortless to create. It didn't really take much time. It didn't really take much comprehensive ability. It took speaking into a digital AI creation software, an open API that could be used with something as simple and common as Instagram. They said, create me a scene where there are several white bunnies hopping on a trampoline, and boom, that's what was created. You don't need a degree to know how to do it. You don't need to be a genius. Any fucking plain Jane can get it done. So I hope you guys have a great day. It's going to be a good day for my birthday. I refuse to accept it any other way. I'm doing some kombucha detox. The vinegar in the kombucha is really helpful in digesting food that's more abrasive to digest. So I've been, for the last week, at least once a week, splitting a regular sized kombucha into 2 doses and drinking that to keep everything, cleaned. I've been going to the gym every day. And then I'm just working as much as possible because I have a lot of bills, my car payment, my insurance, and then I need to get enough money to move to a new unit. So we have eviction court on January 27th. So that's it for me for my daily vlog. In regular communication with the other kids. Alexis's phone was finally replaced, thank God. My son is doing well in his private school. I don't know if I shared with you guys, my son was jumped by 3 boys for walking a girl to her class that one of the boys liked. My son was by himself. He was punched and hit by these kids, and security at school didn't even make much of an effort to protect him or defend him. So it was deemed by the dean that my son would go to a different school, an alternative school in Skokie, for the rest of his year as a senior, so that he could graduate on time and so that no one would put hands on him anymore. So he's doing well in that new situation, and I know anyone who knows. I've been updating you guys, sponsors. If I could get some funding, that'd be great. We're on the way back up from the lowest I've ever made, which is like $80 to $120 a day, driving Uber Eats, to the highest I've ever made, which just since all of the abuse, because I've definitely made more than $1,000 a day while working in sales. But since I've been doing Uber as my primary source of income, I usually make between $300 and $400 a day. That's been cut down to 80 to 120. So I'm on my way back up. Yesterday I started making 160, 150. So I'm coming back into the higher range of things, thank God, because that has caused me significant damage. Living for those 3 months working as Uber Eats and only making $80 a day has been very difficult. The quality of life when you make $80 a day versus $300 a day is absolutely uncomparable. Absolutely uncomparable. It's the difference of getting my kids 2 or 3 Christmas gifts and sending them $5 a day for lunch, and being able to get my kids $500 worth of gifts, plus giving them $100 cash, and also sending them $20 for groceries 3 times a week. Still, that's not enough. $60 a week for food for a family of 3 is not enough. But it makes things a lot easier, and that's what I need to do. And I definitely put in the work, the time, and the effort in getting it all done. So I do believe that, the outcome should be positive. And happy birthday to me. Shout out to Hydrate and everyone who came out for my birthday. I invited no one. I planned nothing. Xavier and I had it planned to go to Sidetrack. That's Xavier's favorite place. However, Sidetrack was absolutely ridiculously out of control, their line. I mean, whoa. I've never seen anything like it. Totally not worth it. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Cover charges and lines, not my jam. I'm not into it. I'm definitely going to come into an establishment and bring a crowd. If I check in, people are going to follow me. I have a following for real. I'm going to buy alcohol, at least a drink or 2. So I'm going to be a positive contributor to the success of your business. You don't need to rape me in the door on a cover charge or have me stand outside freezing my ass off for 30 minutes to get in. I will not go to your establishment if that's the way that it is. And that's not me being bougie. That's just, I have a limited amount of time for social engagements, likely 2 hours or less. So if I spend 30 to 45 minutes of that 2 hours that I have allotted in my schedule to go out and have fun, standing in a line, what do I really have? 45 minutes, So Hydrate was lit. All the guys there were fantastic. All the gals there were fantastic. The staff, everyone was so nice to me. No one robbed me. No one stole from me. I mean, it was just you could see I've got the bar set real high here, but it was just a fantastic evening. Xavier was being, sort of weird at the beginning. It was almost like he was trying to test me to see if he could get me to feel jealousy. Like he was going up. There were maybe 3 women in our little area, probably 100 men, and he would seek out the woman to go and supposedly innocently say he was asking where the bathroom was, or he was like a total psyop, or like a social experiment. He wanted to see if I was jealous of him in high heel shoes, because you guys, if you follow my Insta, you know that Xavier started cross-dressing on the weekends. So that's been weird. But who knows where this is going to go, you guys. It's just one foot in front of the other. I need funding, sponsors. I need to be taken seriously with regards to this healthcare consulting. I can see the sky is the fucking limit. I could see tons of opportunity to make money in this field. If you are in startups or new business development, if you know, please hit me up. Let me know what we can do together, what kind of strategy we can take to fundraise. I really want to get this firm off the ground. I know numerous very reputable doctors from my time at Northwestern and other health systems that I think would be perfect to hire on a per diem contract basis and offer these gigs where they could sit in the center of AI development and technological development and coding and programming of these new technologies that will aid and assist in not only accuracy in healthcare treatment, but fair treatment, and remove the business aspect and the incentivized side of being reimbursed from healthcare, among numerous other things. There's a legal aspect that makes this very important, but the sky is the limit. And if you guys can help, please let me know. Otherwise, sponsors, please step in here. V-Law, we've already come up with a million different ways to censor all of the harassment out of my rhetoric, out of the comments. Why do you guys keep allowing it there? I feel like that's intentional. I feel like you guys have negative intentions associated with me, with my life, with my everything. And I am a little taken aback by that. It's been 6 years of them posting tooth emojis in an effort to hurt my feelings or make me feel, I don't know, bad about the fact that I have a crown in front of my teeth. This is a crown. Sending a bunch of emojis of teeth for 6 years doesn't make me want to die. I know that's what you guys are looking for. I don't care, but it does distract the fellowship from hearing the message that I'm trying to deliver. And it also is really rude and harassing, and almost, I would definitely refer to it as, if you come into my virtual safe space that is mine and no one else's for the purpose of causing me harm, that is assault. And whether you're doing it in writing or in fist, hitting me, assault is assault. And you people deserve to be charged just like someone who's doing it in my face would be. But the emojis of tents and teeth have been on the forbidden list of my YouTube for 6 years. So someone is hacking into my YouTube, turning comments on. I always keep comments off, and then removing the teeth and the tent from my forbidden list of words and allowing people to harass me. So that would be another thing to put on the list of ways that I've been unlawfully dealt with, and ways that the local authority has looked the other way and allowed me to be assaulted. So I'd like that to stop immediately. But anyways, happy birthday, Heather. I'm going to get in a good workout. Thanks, babe. And then go see my kid in the system, which he should not be in to begin with. And this is going on 6 years of documenting this unlawful, unethical, corrupt behavior. And I'm very, very eager, hopeful, and optimistic for solutions. And to say that I've been patient would be a complete and total just understatement. No one should have to wait 6 days for this type of abuse to stop. It's been 6 years. So if you guys could get the fuck off your asses and figure out what the fuck is going on here, that'd be great.